Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are going to be working on the white truck. So some of you guys have asked, many of you guys are new to the channel, maybe don't know what the story is behind the white truck, but it's my uncle's truck. I drove it up here from California for him, doing a little bit of work on it for him, and then his son is actually going to buy it. So we're to the point where his son's ready to buy it. I need the space in my driveway, so I've got a couple more things I need to wrap up on it, and then we will be ready to get it to him. So today what we're going to do is install these new springs on the front end, put some new isolators in there, and then we're going to try and make it ride a little bit better, and then button up a couple things. We'll do another video getting everything all ready to go, and then we'll get this up to my cousin up in northern Utah. So let's get to work. So what we need to do is take the brake calipers off. Let's move to that point and we'll get that done. All right, so we got the caliper off, so it's just two retainer clips, 1/2-inch bolts. Pull those off and then gently kind of pry it up. All right, I'm going to undo this bar from down here, 2 bolts right there, and then we'll undo the upper ball joint. Okay, so I took that bar off. The top bolt was a 13/16, the bottom nut was a 7/8. So they're not the same, which I guess is kind of nice if you only have one set of wrenches. So that's loose. So now we're going to undo the upper ball joint. So this castle nut's coming off nicely. Couple things to consider at this point. Mine I can see is separating from the upper A-arm, so I'm not going to need a pickle fork to actually get it to pop off and separate. But if yours is stuck and it's not separating as this nut's coming off, you want to do one of two things. You either want to back the nut off, but not take it all the way off, and then hit it with the pickle fork, so when it pops off, the hub and everything can't just fly off and the spring, cause some damage or, safety issues. Or bring a jack in and hold it under the lower A-arm. But as mine is just slowly lowering down as I loosen the nut, there's not a ton of load on that that's going to pop off. So take that into consideration if you're doing that. So you can see that upper ball joint came loose. Okay, so I've got the upper shock mount undone. I got a jack under it, so as soon as I lower this jack, everything should kind of come apart. So there we go, that came apart nicely. I've actually got to undo the 2 bolts on the bottom of the shock to let it come out the bottom. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we should be able to separate this enough to pull those springs out. Saw that come out. I kind of had to move the brake caliper around a little bit, mess around with a couple things, but then it just came right out. So here's what was in there. I'm going to unbox the new springs and compare them to these. This is what the isolator was. It's definitely like a poly type spacer, and it definitely got some lift to it. I'll show you the stock ones that I've got and we'll compare them. But for whatever reason, this setup is just riding super rough. So let's unbox those springs. I'll grab the spacers, we'll compare them before we put everything back together and see what it looks like. So this setup that I've got should work a lot better. So I've got them lined up perfectly at the top. We come down to the bottom. It doesn't look like much, but this spring is definitely a little bit longer. So that's where we're gonna get our, you know, our leveling from, the leveling kit part of it. Now let me show you this. Here's the spacer I ordered. Very nice, pliable rubber. This is the one that was in there. Super hard, kind of polyurethane type material. So in the old setup, this is where that lift was coming from, and for whatever reason the front end did not like it. It was a rough ride. It felt very clunky. Not only felt clunky, but you could hear it. So we're going to throw these springs in with this isolator and just see how that goes with it. I think that'll be much better and should take care of a lot of that clunkiness. I'm guessing this is a lot of the problem because you can see on this isolator, it kind of grips onto the spring. So if there's ever any vibration going through there, this kind of absorbs all that, okay? Whereas this, it doesn't clip onto the spring and it's rock hard. So that's where all that clunkiness was coming from. So, all right, let's get it thrown back together and then we'll do the other side. Okay, one thing when you're putting this all back together, notice in this lower A-arm, there's actually a groove for the end of that spiral of the spring, okay? So make sure that's lined up appropriately. Also, the alignment of this isolator, you'll see there's only 3 kind of teeth to grip onto it. So what you do is get one of the first tooth, grip it on right before the end of the spring. So it'll be tooth 1, 2, and 3, okay? Because if you get down here, that's too big of a gap for that tooth to grip onto it. So tooth 1, 2, and 3, and then that isolator will grip onto it really nicely. So one thing I noticed on here, there's this line on this isolator, and when I line those teeth up correctly, that line is right at the end of the spring. So I assume that's where that goes. All right, we've got that in there. Let me tell you a little bit of a story about these ball joints, okay? So if you call any auto parts store or go online to Rock Auto, first thing it's gonna ask you obviously is what type of vehicle, year, make, model, okay? When you get to the ball joints, it's gonna ask you if it's a 4,000 pound axle or what they call except 4,000 pound axle, which is actually a 3,800 pound axle, okay? So the D350 is a 4,000 pound axle. The D250 is a 3,800 pound axle, okay? My understanding from doing a lot of reading and research was that the 3,800 pound axle was a press-in ball joint, and that the 4,000 pound axle was a thread-in ball joint. But every auto parts store I went to, even with the 3,800 pound axle, kept giving me a thread-in ball joint. So I was anxious to tear this apart and see if that was the case, and turns out that that is true. So what you need is a special socket. It is a 2 9/64 socket. Okay, it fits right on there. It is a 3/4 inch drive socket, so I've got this adapter for 1/2 inch. Okay, so that will unthread that ball joint right out. So I've actually heard of people pressing these in and out regardless of whether they have threads or not, so it may be doable that way. This socket was 18 bucks on eBay. It was 60 bucks at Napa, so go to eBay and buy it. For how often you're going to do ball joints, it should work just fine. So anyways, that's the moral of the story, is apparently the 250 and the 350 both have thread on upper ball joints. I don't know about the lower ball joints, and that may be what everyone was talking about, was the lower ones are press in on the 250 and thread in on the 350. So for this case, the upper ball joints are thread in ball joints. There it is. So here's the part number of the new ball joint I got, 10170 capital N. Don't think the capital matters, but what you get. Ball joint, it does come with a new Zerk fitting, a new castle nut, and a new cotter pin. So what we're gonna do is take the castle nut off, take the grease cap out, set that right on there. Now we're going to thread it in until this gap is closed. It doesn't need to be cranked down. It just needs to go till that gap is closed, you know, snug. I'll probably get it to where it stops and then go maybe an extra quarter turn. All right, there it is, it's in. So got the grease cap. All right, we got the grease cap on there. I've got a Zerk fitting that I'll put in just a minute, but that'll be easy to do. So what I'm gonna do now though is get the jack and jack up the lower A-arm and see if we can get the knuckle to go back in the ball joint and at least get the nut started so things are a little bit buttoned up. Everything's all buttoned up, except for the strut rod is not done yet because it's not lining up, and I think that may have to do with the fact that the wheel's not on and there's not load on the suspension. So I think that's the issue. If it's not, I'll let you guys know. I may have to adjust the strut rod forward just a little bit. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. It's going to be the exact same process. So before we take it on a test drive real quick, probably the question everyone's going to ask is, did it level it? The answer to that is that was not necessarily the goal with doing this. The goal was to make the front end so it was actually drivable. But I'll take a measuring tape and see the difference between the front and the back and show you guys. And we'll see. It looks pretty level. If you look at it from here. So to the fender flare, it's 33.5 on the rear, and on the front, see if we can get it. Yep, 33.5 on the front as well. So perfectly level and rides way better than that other setup. So if you're looking to level a two-wheel drive first gen, this is the way to go. Again, I'll have links to these parts, the coils and the isolators, in the description below. So let's put this tape measure away and we'll head on a test drive real quick. Let's go drive it real quick. Again, you guys you didn't really feel it or hear it prior because it wasn't, you know, you may have been able to hear it had I thrown a GoPro under the truck, but it was more just a feeling driving it like you'd hit a bump or anything going up into the driveway and it was super clunky, like just sounded horrible. Sounded like the front end was just all loose and like bolts were shearing on each other. It was horrible. So it is 100% better now. Rides very smooth, and no clunking, no noise. So we'll go take it for a quick test drive and then finish this video out. So yeah, even that, I just pulled off the curb. That would have been horrible with those old spacers in there. So, but no noises now. turning a corner, if you don't slow way down, it would have creaked and made all sorts of sounds, but there's nothing there now. Alright, so I'll pull into this parking lot. There's kind of, the curb to get in it is not very friendly, so we'll see how it sounds. Yeah, it's just super soft. The back, that's another story, but that's, you know, typical for the rear leaf springs with nothing in the bed. But the front just absorbs that perfectly, no noises. It's really nice. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've never done front end work before, so this is my first time. I kind of crashed through it and it worked out fine. So that's what I love about these trucks. Really, you can figure out anything with enough patience and enough persistence. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried to level one of these two-wheel drive trucks. What combo did you use? I know there's also like a metal horseshoe spacer that some people put in there, which I can't see that working out very well as far as a solid and comfortable ride. So this is a good combo. We'll be doing a couple more things to this truck before we take it up to my cousin in northern Utah so he can enjoy it for a while. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new here, comment below if you have any suggestions for me or any comments that may help other people out as well. We'll see you guys in the next video.